Welcome, everybody. My name is Beth Keithley. I am the Fellowship Advisor in the Office of Graduate Education. I'm going to take some time this morning what's morning here, whenever you are watching. Thank you for your time. I am going to talk to you a bit today about the Office of Graduate Education, how we work with the School of Engineering, and some of the ways that our office works with the School of Engineering in order to help enhance your education at the University of Texas at Dallas. So first things first, I'm going to get a little into some vocabulary, but hopefully that will make sense. We are the Office of Graduate Education, and you are applying to be a graduate student at the School of Engineering in one of several departments. So the main words there are office, department, and school. So we are an office. We have programs and workshops and presentations, but we don't offer classes or degrees. You would get you would work with your school. So we are a support service to the School of Engineering. While we have our own mission and goals, one of the main mission and goals is very much like in the School of Engineering, which is to help graduate students get an outstanding education and go into the world and make everything happen. So how do we work with the School of Engineering, and how do we work with the graduate students in order to make that happen? Well, as it says here, we support graduate school from all schools. So there are 7 schools on campus, again, of which one is engineering. Our office is designed to help coordinate programming. So there are some programs that are like this presentation is specific to engineering, possible engineering students or students interested in engineering. There are similar programs that are done in the other schools, but no one who's watching this is going to be interested in a degree in political science. Not that there's anything wrong with political science, but this is engineering. There are programs that our school does, that the university does out of the Office of Graduate Education, in which there are students who are interested in political science, mechanical engineering, business analytics, and they all come together to get the information. That is where our office is that support. I hope that makes sense. But basically, if you want to think of us as a switchboard operator in a couple of ways, you would not be wrong. So one way we connect is that we connect students to other students from other departments in opportunities like the 3-minute thesis competition, or we will have workshops where we will help our office, the Office of Graduate Education, will help coordinate opportunities, workshops, things where you could just casually meet students from other areas. It's a great benefit and highly recommend. One of the other ways, of course, that we serve as a switchboard operator is, frankly, if you have a question. So there are a lot of offices and departments and schools and people, and it all makes sense to us, but most staff on this campus have been here a while, and it can be very confusing because, let's face it, how many times are you going to get a graduate degree? And how many times are you going to get a graduate degree at UT Dallas? So one of the things that we do in this office is when you have one of those, this seems to make sense to lots of people, but it doesn't make sense to me. We have a main email, oge@utdallas.edu. I'll have it on a slide in a couple minutes. Don't worry about it. But if you have a question and you're not entirely sure who it should go to, you can ask us and we will get you to the right people. I joke, and I'm not really kidding, when I say one of the things that we really like to do, most of the people here at UTD definitely like to know somebody. Like, it's great when we know the answer, but we also kind of like when maybe if we don't know the answer, but we know who would know the answer. So it's like, oh, that might not be a question that I can answer, but let me get you to the person who can. So if you ever email someone on this campus with a question and you get an answer back that says, that's not really my area, but this is the person who is, that's nothing to apologize for. We feel very smart and clever, and you get the information you need. But that's one of the things that we do as well in the Office of Graduate Education. So who's in the office? There's several things that we do. So Dean Gonzalez is the Dean of the Office of Graduate Education. He is very good friends with several people over in the School of Engineering, but they do not report to each other. And I'm going to keep going back to that. We are separate. And that's not because it's a problem or a bad thing. It's actually quite a good thing, because if you have conflicts with engineering, which probably won't happen, but it's always nice to know that if if you're having an issue, there's somebody else to go to. The Office of Graduate Education can help. So the dean keeps us on our toes, but he so in the three of us who are in charge of professional development, you will basically what that comes down to is workshops and memberships that again are open to students who are getting a graduate degree in any of the 7 schools that offer degrees. So Ruth, pictured here, is helps with career counseling a bit, but professional development. She's also very big picture in terms of helping students not only with issues perhaps with their PIs, also with putting together programs. She's in charge. In January, we have an Ask Me Anything event where new students can come and talk to all of us in the office and have some ice cream and get a t-shirt, kind of that more fun social stuff. She also puts together an event called the Graduate Appreciation Week. That's also in the spring. That's a really fun program where instead of a lot of professional development, come here and do your CV, it is come here, grab some food, and see, a 3-minute thesis event, for example. As you see me here, although picture a little old, or I'm a little older, depending on your mood, but I am the fellowship advisor and I help students find and apply for funding beyond external funding. And I'll get to that a little later. There's also some fellowship guidance for National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, but also the Department of Energy. And then there are, Microsoft. There are also businesses that offer, and organizations that offer fellowships and grants, and I help you find those. Leela does a lot of our event organization as well. She's also in charge of our website and putting together a lot of our marketing materials. I will talk about other writing. I separate them intentionally because of the 2 types of writing. I do more technical business writing, but we do have support services for the academic writing, and we'll get there in a second. Although Ruth's background is in careers and she can occasionally help, frankly, you have a very good career center over there in the School of Engineering. So that's an example of where there is some overlap of skills, and there is nothing wrong with using all of the resources available to you. But oftentimes, actually, this is a perfect scenario for me to do this. My recommendation is to always start with your school. So always start with engineering before coming to us if there is a situation where the School of Engineering and the Office of Graduate Education have similar programming. It makes sense to start at engineering and then come see us. We do some things that I think of as back of house, but basically certification and verification of degrees. This is something you will hear as a student at UTD, just in passing, and I just kind of want to make sure you understand it. If you are a TA or an RA during your time, teaching assistant or a research assistant during your time at UTD, our office does not hire you as a assistant into an assistantship, but we do oversee policies and procedures. So you would get some emails from us about making sure that you had done the mandatory training that you have to do for the state of Texas, but things like what classes are you teaching and things like that, that would be within the school. So it can be a little confusing. I understand, which is one of the reasons why I really do think anytime you just have a question, you're not responding to an email, you're not asking about an email that you got, which would have a person listed on it. Start in engineering, and if they send you to the Office of Graduate Education, that's fine. That's fine. You'll get the answer eventually. But you can have a great education at UTD, a great experience at UTD, without ever meeting any of the people who do the certificate verification of degrees here, and you can also have a great education and a wonderful time if you do meet them. It's not a good thing or a bad thing to meet them. They're great people, but their job is to make sure your degrees are ready to go, and they mostly work with people your uh, inside your department in your school. So this is where we get to the academic writing. I'll talk about them a little bit more later in this presentation, but dissertations, theses, and academic writing, so lit reviews, they are having a workshop on that. This is Allison, Stephanie, and Nicholas. I do not have a picture of Sammy. So there's 4 people in the department. They will divide up and offer various services. One of the this is a fairly new way of organizing this. So and for graduate writing, for graduate academic writing. And one of the reasons why we're doing this is we're hoping that students who work with them before their dissertation or thesis come to understand, so that when you're doing the dissertation or thesis, if you choose to do a thesis and you're incredibly stressed and it's incredibly like, oh my gosh, I've got so much on my mind. If you've already worked with one of the 4 of that team, it's a familiar face when you have formatting issues. So you're like, okay, that's fine. It's a little early to talk about, being done with your UTD experience, but we do have a hooding ceremony that is specific for PhD students. It is 3 times a year. It usually happens the Friday before what we call commencement week. And if you are getting a PhD, it is a wonderful opportunity for you to have a smaller ceremony that is you and your hooding professor, and it's a celebration of what you have done. We also have some admins. Again, Nadia's usually, if you come to see me for any reason, she is the first person who will give you, who you will see. She's great. You can have a great time at UTD without ever meeting Nadia or TNG. And I have to update this because Ladwina now is head of the academic analysis side of things. But she is also great. How do we contact you? I just want to, you're going to get a lot of email. So I just want to kind of put some of these things in your head. This is one of the things that we do. So you're like, okay, well, if I'm supposed to be focusing on what my school is telling me, how am I supposed to find out things about the Office of Graduate Education? Well, we have an email that goes out to all graduate students on Tuesdays at the moment. If you decide to come to UTD, it might be on a different day, but it's been on Tuesdays for a while. This is the email address I told you about, oge@utdallas.edu. I know that when I see a group email like that, I get a little nervous. I will tell you, however, that our dean looks at that email and he promises students that emails will sit for 24 business hours. I don't know that we always hit that, but I will tell you that we are motivated because the dean is interested in making sure that those emails get answered. We check that on the regular. We all get, so someone will go in and tag us, and I'm in that email 3 times a day to make sure anything that has my tag or should be tagged to me is read and answered. So I can tell you that is the best way if you don't know who to send something to use OGE. there is a UTD mobile app that can be really nice for a map. We joke sort of that our office is difficult to find depending on when you start at UT Dallas. We might be at a new building, but at the moment we are kind of a mysterious building that you will not visit very often other than to see us. So having that map can be incredibly useful. Also, one of the things that our office does, again, because we serve the students of all 7 schools, is that we hold some institutional subscriptions for things. So there are 2 career training platforms beyond the professoriate, which is targeted and more useful to PhD students, and beyond graduate school, which is targeted and more specific to master's students. And they are great resources because if in 2 a.m. Dallas time, you have a question, these career platforms are 24/7 resources because many of them are recorded, the information is solid, and yeah, it's just a great way to know that there are additional backup support for some questions you may have. And let's see. Yep, and we've got social media. Here's the joke about where we're located in Founders Annex. If you ever are on campus, again, depending on when you're here, and if we're not in the new building, please join us. But we are between Berkner Hall and Founders Building. And we are on LinkedIn and Instagram. That's another way to find out what we're doing. I know the goal of this is to talk about how we work with engineering, but I just want to give you an idea of some of our high-level services. I talked about these services already. And then Ruth is doing a collection of workshops called New to Grad School. And one of the things, and she's dividing them up into both for master's students and PhD students, and she's doing them, one will be in person where we feed you, and or for students, and then one will be virtual where you can be taking it, listening to it from wherever you want. I think many of you, since this is a recording, I think you'll probably get the idea that the Office of Graduate Education tries to record everything that we possibly can. If we do not record a workshop or information session that we are doing, there's usually a good reason for it. It's not just we didn't feel like it. We try to have as many things on demand as possible. In fact, my office and as many of the career exploration and professional development presentations that we have that Ruth is in charge of, and the workshops done by the dissertation and research team live in a folder. And if you go to our website, you can access past presentations and recordings and resources of things that we've done. And then anyone who registers, this is why you have this video, anyone who registers and will get the information. So it might be just a box link after, but we try not to hoard education or information. We try not to I pick times, for example, for my presentations that work for me. And I know that means they don't work for everybody. So I have a rule that if you register for the event, you will get the recording and you will get any resources affiliated with those. And they're in a box folder and I will send them out. So we try, like I said, information is available. I'm not going to go. There are events. I want to give you some of the ideas of the events that we do. Now, again, engineering does a lot of these events too. So there's a lot of social events and improving your writing specifically for engineering students and finding a job specifically for engineering students. My advice is collect all the information you can, right? Come to ours, go to the engineering ones, get a different point of view, go to the social events. We do a global grad social hour, and the Ask Me Anything event has a social component of it. We'll do some networking things where you can meet people from all the schools, and it's a really good opportunity to just expand your network. So I highly recommend you do that. But again, picking us does not mean you cannot also. So we are an also benefit, not a or. I do fellowships and grants. I help students interested in applying for opportunities. A lot of times what I do this in two different ways. I have a series of information. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I don't know what a grant is, I don't know what a fellowship is, I don't know what financial aid is, but I want to explore this because I could use funding. Uh, I have a kind of fellowship and funding for, I don't want to say beginners because that's not fair, but for people who are just trying to figure out what that is. And then I have a collection of information series and sessions for people who are applying for insert a specific opportunity here. So I am applying for the National Institutes of Health F31. Beth, how do I do that? So that kind of two ways in which I do that. Um, I really start my work with students when they are enrolled. So I work with, so maybe a little early for working with some of you, depending on where you are in the process. I have to admit, I am not sure, but just know that I am here. There are some Office of Graduate Education awards that I oversee. And again, when you get to campus and when they are ready for you in your timeline, you can absolutely, we will meet. Again, can you have a perfectly good and successful career at UT Dallas without meeting with me? Yes, of course you can. But I am some of the programs that we do in this office, including the 3-minute thesis, which is an opportunity for working on public engagement in science communication. Whether or not you're interested in applying for a grant or not, uh, I think I add a little bonus, but I'm going to stop there. One of the things we also do is we have a lot of student organizations and clubs who who are interested in specific funding presentations or do their own programming. So I know at the moment I am working with the Mechanical Engineering Graduate Student Association on a 3-minute thesis that kind of prep work that they are doing. I am not in charge of it. I think I'm helping in terms of there is an official program and rubric to the 3-minute thesis. So I have been providing them support, but I'm not going to take over because they're doing a great job. They don't need me to take over. But for when you are on campus, definitely get involved with the groups. We talk about how, I've talked about how our work is for all of the 7 schools, engineering is for engineering students, and then of course there are departments like mechanical engineering, bioengineering, all those departments. And so you can get specific, but you can also go up the gradient, I guess, of specificity at UTD in order to get as many experiences and meet as many people and get some specific to mechanical engineering. But then you can also get very vague and do a whole school-wide 3-minute thesis, for example. So I definitely think it's worth doing from that. But I left this in here not because I really expect you to sign up for because you are probably not part of a UTD organization or club yet, but just as a reminder to me that it's to talk about that, the specificity versus getting involved as much as you can. I've been talking about opportunities. These are ones you would talk to me with. I've mentioned the 3-minute thesis already. Right now, as I'm recording this, it is October 9th. We're in the middle of what I call Graduate Archer Fellowship season, which is lovely. It is an opportunity to take 3 classes on public policy and then live and work an internship in Washington, D.C. during a summer. If you are a master's student and you are interested, this sounds interesting to you, I will tell you, look into it before your first summer here, because you have to be a UTD student in order to be part of this program. And it is so you can't say, oh, I'll do it that summer after I graduate. You can't. So definitely go ahead and look at that as soon as you arrive. And the coordination for that starts in, well, September, October. Like I said, it's graduate archer fellowship season. And then I'm just putting this in for any students who are, or for any future doctoral students. We do offer a dissertation research award. That is when you are in your dissertation research phase. I do an information session on that usually in November, and then another one in January. So again, when you are ready, when you are eligible, you will hear about it. Onward and upward. So dissertation and this thesis, this is the group. I'm just putting these out here so that you know they exist, and you will get emails. And if I know, when I think about writing a thesis for a master's it's just like there's so much, and the master's is so fast, and there's so many things going on, that just knowing there's a final semester timeline, and we will help, and we will help engineering, and we want you to we want you here, we want you to be successful here, we want you to stay here and get a great education, and then we want you to graduate and go. So I just want you to see that I don't want to say these are, that I don't think, I'm trying to know that this information exists. It's on the website. When you are ready to know it, it is available to you. There is not a secret handshake that you need to know in order to access this information. So, a final semester for PhD. There are many workshops on formatting and the setup and how to submit. My recommendation is that when you think you are a semester away from your final semester, especially for my PhD students or my future PhD students, that is the best time to do it. Graduate writing services, this is still kind of under development, but I think we've kind of gotten it now. They have been starting to meet. Those were the 4 I was talking about. And I'm just telling you this so that you know these benefits, these resources, they exist. Because a lot of times what happens is you're like, oh, wait, what happens if I need help with writing? What happens if I need help with? So it exists. It exists in the School of Engineering. It exists in the Office of Graduate Education. Again, take advantage of both. I don't think you can make an appointment with anyone until you are actually on campus and enrolled, but understand that you can, very much like having a one-on-one meeting with me, you can come meet with them in their office. They are downstairs, or you can do it over Teams, Microsoft Teams. There are some limitations because they do not want, because, their meeting is an hour and they can't really do an entire dissertation in an hour. It's not, you're just not going to get good feedback. I recommend, whether you meet with me, somebody in writing from, academic, and wherever you do a one-on-one meeting on your writing, come in with specific questions. Help me fix my writing is legitimately a question, but when you think of how you need to fix your writing, what does that look like? We all have things in writing that forever and ever and ever we will need to fix. I don't think anyone will be surprised at this point in the presentation where I really need to work on being more succinct in my writing. So I know that, so if I came into an appointment with one of the graduate writing services team, I would say, help me get more succinct in my writing. So, but all the academic types of writing, journal articles, conference papers, class assignments, I help with the more technical, business, persuasive side. So if you were interested in applying for that Archer Fellowship, one of the things that they want from you is a policy prospectus. You would talk to me about that. And here are the people. There's a booking page to schedule a meeting with them when you are here on campus and you are ready and have an assignment. So just coming in and talking about writing generally is not a good, I would wait till you had some pages and could actually talk about your concerns about writing, your strengths in writing, why are commas the way they are, all that kind of good stuff. And so this is our information. I'm going to leave this up for just a little bit. So oge@utdallas.edu. That, frankly, is right now even the best way to get a hold of me, because if you have a question about funding, um, fabulous. But also, if you have a question about something else or somebody else needs to answer that question by going to the OGE, uh, by just sending it to OGE, I will get it. Like I said, I go in there 3 times a day and answer any questions. So that I will thank you for your time. For those of you who started this online, didn't see my face and then heard an alarm, I am sorry for that. I am hoping you will come to campus and yeah, um, best of luck to you, whatever you decide. However, I am hoping I will be able to meet you here at UT Dallas in the future. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and attention. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.